welcome to Detroit in Black and White Friday night's edition. You have with you coming up in the lazy boy chair, Mr.
Live
Allan.
from the lazy boy.
Hey, Allan, how are you?
I'm doing all right.
That's
I'm
good.
doing physical therapy, trying to get back in the game.
Okay, good. You're sitting more upright today than you have been previously.
I've been told I need to sit upright more.
Okay, good.
I'll work on that too.
Okay. And Jim Nardone, our resident chief of police. What's up,
Good
Jim?
Friday evening to you.
Thank you. Adolph Mongo is not here tonight. I think he'll be here tomorrow. I'm not sure, but we always hold down the fort.
Can we do something to get him in trouble?
No,
Okay.
no. I did not. I thought maybe Allan did.
No.
So I want to start off this show. First of all, I want to thank those people that are watching the show tonight. Friday, December the 20th, 5 days before Christmas. So there are probably a lot of people out partying. There's a lot of Christmas parties going on tonight. I'm not going to none of them.
Looks like you're dressed, ready to go.
Huh? You know what? I really don't go to Christmas parties like I used to when I was younger. I don't.
Yeah.
I have a holiday event, and you guys know that you're invited, but I just don't go to them anymore. I used to, but I'm not interested in going to them at all. I'll go if I absolutely have to, but no. So I wanted to start off saying that Wednesday we had a very spirited conversation about the man that was killed at the gas station over on the west side of Detroit, Myers, McNichols, James Cousins area, or the Lodge as we call it. And I was very upset that this business, in my mind, and in a lot of people's minds, was very disrespectful to those people that they serve and they make money off of. I'm hopeful that no one that watched this show walked away thinking that I hate Arabic people, Chaldean people, whoever, whatever. I don't. I made it clear that I don't hate anybody. I do hate the actions. And I certainly don't want people to think that those of us at Detroit in Black and White that we're targeting any group of people. We're not. We were specifically talking about that incident there, but we also talked about how basically we're trying to get the point across that if you're in the community, it's important that you respect the community that you do business in and that you get money from. So,
although I do want, can I say something?
Sure.
I 100% agree with you. I mean, there should be mutual respect too. And there have been, I've seen some reports where some folks in the neighborhood are very disrespectful to the owners, and so it goes both ways. But it needs to be looked. The owners need the customers, and the customers need the store.
Yeah.
We're talking about one act. Yeah. One act by one human being, right?
Right. But it's the same place that had a similar act, within the same year, which is egregious as far as I'm concerned. But I just want to make sure that I said that, because one of the things that I like to do is it's important to take accountability for your actions. And we always talk, and a lot of people watch our show and they will repeat, what we say. And so we're responsible for what we say, and somewhat responsible as to how it lands. How you deliver a message. Sometimes, it lands a certain way. You know what your intent is in your head, but you have no control how it lands with, in people's hearts or resonates in their head. So, I just want to explain where we are coming from as a collective, but in particularly the words that I spoke out of my mouth, because I was probably the most vocal on Wednesday about that incident. So I just want to say that. It look like we're a little quiet tonight. We don't have that many people making comments. If you're watching Detroit in Black and White tonight, we want you to like, subscribe, and share. We want you to like, subscribe, and share. And we also want you to comment. So having said that, I'm going to turn it over to, I'm going to start off with Jim and then with you, Allan. Jim, what you want to talk about?
Well, I have a question for the both of you. Allan is a reporter and Vanessa is an attorney. I was flipping around last night and I see that Luigi Mangione was in federal court. So I guess my question to both of you is, they're charging him federally and in the state court. Is this just is this political posturing, or why do you think they're doing it? I know that federal law allows for the death penalty, but is it just political posturing, or is it?
I mean, my opinion is, I mean, state charges are enough. You're up for first degree murder, second degree murder, all that stuff. I mean, I don't know, as you say, I don't know what additional federal charges. I mean, you can do a gun charge federally, and I guess there is the death penalty, but I think it's really unnecessary. I didn't realize they were going into federal court.
Yeah, I read an article today. Actually, I read an article. The defendant's attorney talked about in their 30 years of practice, they have never seen anything like that, where you have federal charges and state charges, from the same act. So this is how I feel. I believe is definitely what Jim implied. I believe that it is political. I think it is overboard. I think it's a message to people. Look, we talk about in Detroit Black and White how people are murdered every single day, right? We know that people die every single day at the hands of some lunatic or whatever the case may be. How many times do you see them charged federally? What kind of message are you sending to us as Americans, that a life of a CEO is much more important than the life of the guy at the gas station? I'm just saying.
So let me ask you.
I wonder.
I'm just saying. Just saying. I mean, realistically, what kind of message are you sending? Hey, everybody, we glad y'all checking in. Okay.
I wonder, sometimes I do see where federal charges, if they're worried that the case might fall through the crack. I know his attorney had mentioned early on about maybe trying to get the insanity, whatever, which is a hard status to get. But sometimes I see where they double up to make sure that there is a conviction one way or another. I mean, there could be, if he's convicted in state courts, I mean, short of an appeal, that they won't even pursue the federal charge. I just don't see the reason for doing the federal,
So
what's the charge in the federal court?
They're both murder. So the question is, one of them's going to have to probably fall off. But let me ask you this, Attorney Moss. Would you rather defend this case in a federal court or in a state court?
Well, federal court is the death penalty. State court, and that was in New York. I don't believe it has a state. I mean, I will probably want to do it in state court as opposed to federal court.
There is no death penalty.
Because there is a death penalty in federal court. And those death penalty cases, I understand, are very, very stressful. And I'll give you guys an example. Remember the guy, the underwear bomber guy, right?
Yes.
That would have been a death penalty cases, but the guy ended up in prison, forever.
I'll say this. It's been a long, long time since anyone's been executed federally, I think, through the death penalty. I can't recall the last time. I think it's been quite a while. I think the state, in Texas, they'll kill you for fucking stealing a Hershey bar.
Right.
But I think in the state courts are a lot easier to get death penalty convictions. But even then, they languish, on death row, and there's appeals and all that kind of stuff. So,
yeah. Oh, I want to give a shout out to Rhonda Williams. What's up, Rhonda? She said, listen, she said she wished this was a call-in show. She don't like texting. You can't really get your point across. We understand, Rhonda, and we're hopeful that in 2025, things are going to change. We're hopeful that we're going to do some other things. As long as you guys keep checking in and these numbers keep going up, that means that we're going to be able to do some other things. But in the meantime, just let those fingers do the talking. We also want to say hello to Ann. Look, Ann, I don't have my glasses on. Ann Farrell, she said, For Farnell, she says, I
Yeah.
want to wish you a you all happy holidays. And I hope that the new year is personally good despite the political situation. Amen. And I agree with you. I agree with you. Speaking of happy holidays, listen, this is the first year in I can't even remember. I'm not feeling it this year. I didn't put up a tree. I have a wreath, a wreath on the door. I don't have poinsettias. Every year I usually have poinsettias. I have a tree. I really decorate. I'm playing my music. I haven't bought not one gift.
Don't
Now
you have a
every year
critter?
I
Don't
haven't
you?
bought one gift. Now I will say that I am every year I do play Santa Claus for some families, and I remain anonymous. So I am going to go out tomorrow and help a couple of people. But and listen, it's tomorrow. It's late. You might as well say it's Christmas Eve, but I'm not feeling it. And I've talked to quite a few people. I don't know if you have, Allan or Jim. I've talked to quite a few people. And they're like, yeah, I'm not feeling it this year. Why do you think it is?
I mean, for me,
Do you think it's November the 5th?
yeah, well, for me, I mean, I had surgery a month ago, and I've got a leg brace on, so I am not in the full spirit of the holidays, which I like. I mean, look, I'm Jewish, and I enjoy the little Christmas season, the Hanukkah season. I mean, it's like people are a little nicer, and they're a little more joyful, and so I appreciate that. I mean, the holiday itself. I mean, the religious aspect of both holidays is kind of lost a lot of times, but the human spirit is a little bit more loftier. I think people are generally nicer this time of year.
Yeah, Anne said that she's not in the spirit either. She says it's a depressing time. And it really is a depressing time for a lot of people. It's a sad time for a lot of people. And even
Yeah.
though, a lot of us want to spread good cheer, it can be a very depressing and debilitating time of the year. And I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I'm telling you, 2024 just hit real different, real different. And I can't wait for it to say good. I can't wait to say goodbye to 2024. I cannot wait.
Thank you, Rhonda, for your commitment to the community.
Yes.
We appreciate that.
Yes.
Although I have to say, I remember in 2019, I was in DC right around New Year's time, and everybody was saying, "Oh my God, 2019! I am so sick. I can't wait for 2020." And then we had the fucking pandemic, which was like a nightmare. It was like the worst, and people were starting to go, "Well, 2019, not so horrible."
Right.
Come on, we got to be upbeat here. Everybody's in a little bit.
But yeah, I'm trying to get there. I've been struggling, and I have to. As a matter of fact, struggling so much so. Listen, the beginning of the show, I took accountability. One of the things that I cannot stand is for people that are in position of authority to not take accountability or say, "Hey, I made a bad call on this." Years ago, and I won't name this person, but years ago, I was in court, and this judge made a really bad call. She was pissed because I was arguing. I mean, I was arguing like nobody's business, and she she disagreed with me, but she went back in her chambers. About 2 hours later, I get a call in my office. Not only did she apologize, she reversed her decision,
impressive.
and she said she was wrong.
That's impressive.
I had an incident today, and I was like, "Lady, are you serious?" Good thing is I kept my client out of jail. One of the things I will say this is that poverty should never be a crime, but in fact it is. If you're poor, listen, you get left at the bottom of the barrel. Would you agree, Jim? You've seen it. And it's very, very sad. And when you're sitting there, you talking to people, advocating for someone, and say, "Listen, you shouldn't do this. This person has to catch the bus. This person has a government issued phone." I don't say Obama phone because those phones were out before Obama
Reagan
became the
phones.
president.
They were Reagan
Exactly.
phones.
So those are government issue phone. He has a government issue phone. He has to depend on the bus to get to court. They have to load up these. How it works is, from what I understand, they load up their minutes or whatever. At any rate, he shouldn't be punished because he could not communicate because he didn't have a phone. Anyway, I kept him out, but this person, when I told him this is wrong, as a matter of fact, I say, look, you can tell me whatever you want. I don't believe nothing you're telling me. That's not true. This person that you have talking here in court is not telling the truth.
I'd like to read Duela Boyce.
Yes.
Political climates suck, and it makes it hard to be uplifted, possibly government shutdown. Although I think we're going to avoid the government shutdown, but I think we need to take a break.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. We got to go to commercial break.
In the heart of Detroit, Bruce Simpson. Our city ombudsman and his team are dedicated to making your voice heard. The City of Detroit Ombudsman is a liaison between the City of Detroit and all persons who have a complaint or inquiry into the operation of a city department or the conduct of a city employee. The Ombudsman works as an independent oversight to provide individuals with an opportunity of giving a confidential avenue to address complaints. You can reach the Ombudsman's office at 313-224-6000 or email us at ombudsmandetroitmi.gov. You can also visit us at the Coleman A. Young Municipal Center. For more information, go to www.detroitmi.gov and type in Ombudsman. We are here to help. In Detroit, we are all one team. When you win, we all win.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. Are you living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, or maybe you know someone who's in the same situation? The probate process may be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. We have several nonprofit partners who have free attorneys who can assist you. Contact our office, 313-224-5990, or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. Don't lose your family property. Some of these properties have been in the family for 4 or 5 generations. Contact us now. We're here to help.
We're back, Detroit in Black and White. We'd like to thank you all for joining us this Friday evening at 8:30. And we hope you join us again tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, Detroit in Black and White. We want you to like, subscribe, and share, and tell your friends about it. Hey, you don't like my music? Thanks for joining. Rhonda Williams, thank you so much. I got to tell you guys a story about Rhonda. Rhonda Williams and I went to school together, and we ran into each other some years back, and we've been, keeping in contact with one another, keeping up with one another. But she was one of those who I will say, and I will say it was the same way. I didn't go straight to law school after I finished undergrad. She was a late starter, but she went back to school, married, had family, everything, went back to school. She's a social worker, and she loves what she does for a living, and she's dedicated to doing what she does for a living. And I think that is awesome. You're talking about a hard job, social work. Lord Jesus, have mercy. That's a hard job. Hard job.
But rewarding.
Yes,
rewarding.
It is, because you're helping people. Yep.
So what do you think about immigrants and trans people being our biggest problems? I don't know if I see things that way. I guess there are some people that are really, beating the drum against immigrants and trans people, but I don't really see it on the streets like that.
I think it was an emotional election issue that was used a lot to say immigrants are ruining the country. They're invading transgender. They're defiling our morals or whatever. I mean, they're playing in sports, and they made that a big issue. And there were people in the election that said, I voted because I had one guy interviewed the day of election. He said, I voted over here in Detroit. He said, I voted for Trump because the transgender issue really bugged me. And it's like, So I know what you're saying, Jim. On a reality level, it's not our biggest problem, but on a particularly campaign issue, it resonated with
The
people.
emotions.
Yeah, and I think Allan is onto something. It's through whose lens is it? For some people, through some people lenses, that is a big issue. Listen, I don't know if you guys remember, it was a commercial. I would laugh at it because it was laughable, not because it was ha 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 funny. But remember, there was a commercial during the campaign. They showed this guy. He was in prison. They showed the bars, and they showed him putting the mascara on.
Yeah.
That resonated with so many people. People really believe that. I don't believe that that's the biggest problem. The one that's looming right now is that, to me, one of the biggest problems is the polarization of people in the United States. You either all on this side or that side, and there seems to not be a middle ground. And right now, the big issue is, as Deuela indicated, this possible shutdown. You don't think there's going to be a shutdown of the government, Allan? It happens all the time.
Yeah, I think it's the House has passed. I mean, I think the Senate is going to figure out some way to keep the government going.
They're in session right now. In fact, I have it on TV right now, so I've been following it.
I think they're gonna push it through. I mean, the only time the government really shuts down most of the time is when there's a Democrat in power and the Republicans want to show some muscle and they try to shut down things and try to use it as a weapon for the budget. But I mean, Trump's taken over very shortly. I don't know that he wants to walk into a mess like that. So
I don't know. He might be creating the mess. You Don't Like My Music is talking about people don't change genders for convenience. Absolutely 100% right.
Yeah.
We agree with that.
Right. You said what now?
That no one has changed. Go ahead, Allan.
No, go ahead.
It just says no one is changing genders from out of convenience, and that's absolutely right.
Yeah, I agree with him. I want to give a shout out to Deborah Harris. She says she's gotten older and her grandkids are grown. She's just thankful to be alive with a portion of her health saved by the Holy Spirit. Her birthday is Sunday. I'm going to say, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. No, I cannot sing, but we're telling you from Detroit in black and white, happy birthday.
But I think Allan's point, happy birthday. But Allan's point was it's the emotions of a campaign issue compared to what's really going on in society. I don't think America has a great problem with trans folks. I just don't see it. I'm sure there's.
Oh, she said the bill passed. No shutdown. Deuela, no shutdown. Right. The bill passed.
Yeah. Well,
just like 10% of the people are going to hate whoever they're going to hate, no matter what you do. You're not going to change that.
Look, people are afraid. People are afraid of what they don't know. And for mainstream America, who may not be exposed. I mean, if we live in the big city, we're exposed to people of all different, stripes and whatever. But, people in the rural areas, people who live in middle America, they're not used to it and they're scared of it. They're frightened by it. And so when you're frightened, sometimes you hate,
Yeah. Yeah.
And I see again, You Don't Like My Music has a question about
right. I was going to ask you that. I'm going to ask you that question. But before you answer, let me say this. Eric Adams, first of all, he has some charges looming over his head. And the woman, his assistant that worked with him, that they say he was having an affair with, she resigned and she's also facing charges. Listen, I think he's chumming up to the president-elect so that he could get a pardon.
Yeah, he wants a pardon.
And you know what? I don't know if I could be mad at him for doing that. But go ahead, Jim. You go ahead and answer the question.
I have no answer for You Don't Like My Music.
Are you serious?
I have no idea what I think about Eric Adams. One day I'll see him and I think he makes perfect sense. And the next day I'm like, get that guy off that stage because what he's saying makes no sense. So I have no answer. That's my best answer is no answer.
And guess what? I think he is he is a conflict of interest. I think he's conflicted I think he's conflicted because on one hand, he seemed to be very compassionate about the immigrants in New York. And then the next thing you know, oh yeah, well, maybe we'll be opening, maybe I will be open to opening up this prison so that they can go there. I'm like, dude, are you serious? But I think he's making these moves, and I could be wrong, but I'm thinking he's making these moves because he wants the president-elect to give him a pardon. That's what I think.
Yeah.
I don't know what he wants or what he's trying to accomplish, but like I said, some days I'll look at him and say, this guy makes some sense. And then the next day I'll just get that guy, get him completely out of here because everything he says is in conflict with what I believe in. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure he's going to go down as the greatest mayor of New York City, but, I mean, he seems like an okay guy, but he's in trouble with, he's got some serious charges pending against him. And so I think Trump, why not? I mean, look, Trump pardoned Rod Blagojevich, although Rod Blagojevich showed up on Celebrity Apprentice. He pardoned Joe Arpaio from, from Arizona. Maricopa County or whatever. So he's not shy about, and he pardoned Kwame, which was, a big deal. And Kwame, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, he commuted to time served, which was about 8 years out instead of 28 years. And, Kwame went and campaigned for him.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Marlon. Marlon Holt said pass dental for all. Also, Marcia Gilmore, she said, you right, Vanessa. All right, Odell Rowan, the future city councilman. He said he's safe, but he has no backbone. I think he talked about Eric Adams. So,
and Marlon.
Marlon said if Detroit has 600,000 illegals out of nowhere, people might see it like Adams.
Well, they landed in his lap up there in New York City, I guess.
I don't think they had that many, did they?
But wait a minute.
I don't know.
Let's get this straight. Remember, you had a governor from Texas that was putting them on buses and shipping them to New York. Remember that?
Martha's Vineyard.
Exactly right. So, it's not as if they climbed the wall and went to New York. Let's be serious here, okay?
Is he a cop or is he a politician is the question. A lot of those big city cops are more politician. I was just a policeman with an office. That's the way I looked at it. So.
Well, look at Chief Craig. He's trying to be a politician. He hasn't been very
he's talking
successful.
about he might get in the race for mayor. I think he's just talking.
And the chief of Wisconsin, is it Madison, Wisconsin, where the shooting was, is now the chief of Seattle, Washington today.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Yes, wow. He was appointed the chief of
That's
Seattle,
a big promotion.
Yeah, from a 280,000 person city to about an 800,000.
Right,
I think
right. Seattle's a big city.
So that's a politician to me more than a cop. So,
Is there a difference?
Yeah, there is. I think so.
I think it doesn't hurt to have the skills of a politician when you're the police chief, if you're a good police chief. It's better to be a good police chief than to be a good politician. But if you have both skills, not so horrible in some situations.
So when you say a good politician, what's a good politician? Because I talked about this yesterday about politicians. They tell people what they want to hear, not what they need to hear.
And that's hard when you're a police chief.
Exactly. And so, I mean, look, we see it on the campaign trail. They make all these promises, and a lot of them they can't deliver. For example, I'm going to make people go back to work. You can't make people go to work. How are you going to make people go back into the buildings to work? Get out of here. And people are saying these things. You really believe that there's some things that they cannot do, but I'm going to say it because I want your vote. I want you to believe in me. That's politics. If people buy it,
well, I think that I look at a politician. I mean, if a police chief's a good politician, that he's able to get what he wants for his department, from the city council, from the mayor, and also knows how to talk to people in public and answer straight rather than being robotic. Sometimes, I mean, these guys are very, just the fact, dragnet kind of stuff, and some are more personable. I think politician it doesn't necessarily connotate a negative thing, but it can be, depending.
Well, this day and age, as far as I'm concerned, a lot of people. Now, I shouldn't say as far as I'm concerned. I'm gonna take that back. Zip. Nowadays, some people feel like it's a negative as opposed to a positive.
Yeah, well, it's got negative connotations, so I just say
Absolutely.
that person's a politician, you know.
Right.
But
What do you think, James Craig was a better politician or a better police chief? I guess that's a question.
I think he had a little bit of the politician in him, but he doesn't
A
have enough.
little.
He doesn't have enough to be a real
A
politician.
little.
But he has some to do. Look, I think if people look at his tenure, they generally see it as successful. He didn't have any scandals like previous chiefs did. You know, he kept pretty much on the straight and narrow. But I don't know. He hasn't been successful. I mean, in his bid for governor, he screwed up with the signatures. And then in the Senate, he ran this year for Senate and he dropped out fairly quickly. I think maybe he saw it wasn't going to be much of it. He wasn't going to beat Mike Rogers. And,
the answer.
You know,
I just want to make sure I'm right about this. This is the same guy who had, I just want to make sure I'm right with memory serves me correctly. And I know I make a living, I remember things, but is this the guy who had a press conference and ran from the people on Belle Isle?
That's the guy.
Or
Yeah.
as the people in the hood say, Belle Isle.
that's the politician part of it. You know, that's the politician that
You
wasn't
are
very
funny.
good. That was the politician that wasn't very good at being a politician. But you know, as far as the police chief, I think he ran the department. Well, you might have. Did you overlap with him at all or not?
I met him at a couple events, but
Yeah.
didn't really. You know, when you're a big city police chief, you have other people do more of the stuff that you know usually he's really not in with the nuts and bolts of running the police department. So
yeah, we're gonna end with this. Terrier 84 said, "Good evening. Lately, Detroit's been coming up on my radar. Do you guys believe this is a good time to move to Detroit or the surrounding areas? Sorry if it's off topic. Listen, this is y'all show tonight. It's not off topic. And if you asking me, and if you asking Allan, we're gonna say, heck yeah, it's a good time to move into the city of Detroit or the surrounding area." Jim will say the same thing because he lives in the surrounding area, but he's always in the city. So heck yeah, we're not going to say no.
come down to one of our shows at McShane's and come visit with us, and we can give you a little tour, maybe.
Right.
I returned here in 2011 after being gone for 14 years living in Washington. I came back here, and you know, downtown was still dead in 2011, but Gilbert 2012, 13, 14 really blew up downtown, and the city has been thriving. I mean, there was a break during COVID and there were some steps backwards, and now, you know, I'm not sure what's going to happen to all the office buildings. There's got to be a lot of vacancies still. A lot of people started working from home and a lot of people haven't returned to the office.
Yeah, well, it's time for us to wrap up. Marlon says move to Ann Arbor, basically.
Ann Arbor is a great town.
Right.
I didn't think Marlon was the most liberal viewer that we had, but he's saying go to Ann Arbor.
Right.
I don't know, Marlon.
You don't like my music says cheap real estate, great people, damn right, it's a good place to move. Okay. All right, we're going to wrap it up tonight. We want you guys to join us tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to have
George Jackson,
Bruce Simpson, and George Jackson on the show tomorrow. So make sure you guys join us. We want you to put in a comment what your outrage is so we could shout out some of those outrages tomorrow. And we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. All right, Ann. Bye-bye.